Hey, John. Sorry about that. Thought I did make you host. Co-host. Long day. Hey, Betty. Hi.
Hi, Deb.
Good to see you.
The class this morning was very interesting.
Did you like?
Yes, I'm looking forward to trying some of them.
Oh, the one on strawberries. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. Which one did you like?
Oh, they all sounded good. I think I'm going to try the one with chicken first.
It's interesting to think about eating them. Well, those are not heated, but some of those other recipes where you roast them and you put them into a hot meal, that's something a little different.
That's right. One doesn't think about eating them hot. At least I never have.
No. And I had the quinoa salad last night. And like I said, it's one of those to just try because it didn't quite, I just wasn't used to it. So first I tasted it and I thought, I don't know. And then the more I ate it, I just liked all those flavors. So yeah, it was good. Hi, Gladys.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
What are we drinking today? This afternoon?
I drink lots of water. Flavor it with different things.
Okay. And
Hello,
Gladys, to hear you. Hi, Katie.
Hi, can you guys see me?
No, we can't, but it would be lovely to see you.
No, this is the first, start my video. Wait, let's see if that works. This is the first time I just got my new computer.
There you go. I can
Is
see
it working?
Mm-hmm.
It's me, yay. I can't see me. Oh, yes, I can. Hello. Wait, let me move this down a little bit. All right, here I am. I feel so good.
There you are.
And I'll mute myself, I think, so some other people can talk. It's lovely seeing you and feeling like I'm part of the group now instead of just chatting.
I know. It's nice to have you here. I love it when it comes on camera. That's nice.
Okay, I'm muting now.
Okay.
Bye. Well, not bye, but you know.
You can answer the question. What are you having to drink right now?
Nothing, but I've had 5 cups of decaf coffee already today.
Wow.
So I'm not thirsty at the moment.
You're after my own heart. I drink a lot of coffee too. And I've
got to have decaffeinated, but
yeah,
it's got to be decaffeinated for me, but it's just like coffee anyways.
It's very, very tasty. It's the habit, it's the taste, right? And you can get
right.
Have coffee too. Gladys, I didn't hear what you were drinking. You didn't unmute yourself. Were you drinking there? Are you drinking coffee?
I'm drinking coffee and cold water. That's the blend I like. Or, the double whammy or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So you dilute your coffee or you drink it in 2 separate?
They're 2 separate.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm drinking I was off my collagen powder for a while. So I ran down between classes and I put in a scoop of my chocolate collagen powder with milk and some ice. And it's really tasty. It's kind of like a milkshake. It's sweetened with stevia. but it's a little, I was too fast and I was blending it and it's a little icy. So now I have to be careful or I'll be crunching through the class, but it's really refreshing. Hey Dale, hi. There's Carol Sue. Hello, Carol Sue.
Hello.
You were in the last session with me too, the speaker.
Yep.
Yeah,
And partially for your other class.
partially for the strawberry class too. You're having a busy day. Yeah, we just had a wonderful speaker on, two speakers. They were talking about a company called Womanhood. They are ladies who help us get through peri and menopause. So it was quite interesting. If you get a chance to catch that on the replay, you might find some interesting resources if you're dealing with or have any questions about menopause. And they have some really great products. So it's kind of
Hello.
Hey Kathy, how you doing?
Okay.
Okay. So let's see how many people we've got here today. There are about 9 that were going to come. Well, I think we're almost all here. Great. Gladys, I have to tell you, I know you're up there sipping your coffee, but I just saw you moving something, jumping something around. Are you cooking something? Yep.
I multitask. So I'm washing dishes in the sink while you're sitting on the ledge, and then I don't dry my dishes and silverware. I just shake them.
That's what that red shaking was going on there.
That's right.
I thought maybe you were tossing vegetables to cook them.
Also, I have a tendency to, go away from the camera and come back. Does that bother anybody? Otherwise, I'll just, what do you call it? Go away.
No, you do your thing. We're glad to have you on camera. That's okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I think I see some shaking heads. I'm just grateful that you're on camera, and I get to see your smiling face sometimes. That's nice. Okay. So real quickly, I'm going to share my screen, but most of the time I'm coming back here to just talk with you all. We go through our little beginning. And is there someone here who's here for the first time with me? Katie, you've been here before. You just haven't been on camera, right? Katie? Katie, can you hear me?
Okay, am I not muted now? I'm not muted. Oh, I don't type, do I?
I think
No, I have only been able to do chat because my old, really old laptop, the camera and microphone were broken on it. So all I could do was be in chat. But I've been following you for a while now.
Are you Katie Avram? Is your last name?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. That helps to know.
It's Avram.
Avram. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit for some reason. I don't know. It might be the internet connection today, but you're a little lagging a little.
It could be.
Yeah, that's
Well, I'm on satellite because I'm rural.
Mhm.
And so it's really hard to do anything that uses much bandwidth at all in the middle of the day. So that could be part of it.
I get that. And that's just getting worse all the time, I think, everywhere for everybody. So we understand that's just a part of the world we live in. So is there anybody who's new? You said, Gladys, this is your first time.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but have you been in Get Set Up before or your first?
Oh, I'm on Get Set Up. Like I take, sign up for like 4 courses a day.
Wow.
In the morning, I just go look up what's on Thursday, and then I book.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm glad you decided to book here today. So my name's Deb Livingston, and I am a guide here in Eastern Pennsylvania. And I think that most everybody else knows me. So I'm directing myself to you a little bit, Gladys. It's nice to have you here. And I enjoy these classes because we really get a chance to interact a lot. This Let's Talk food and cooking is really different from my other classes because it is intended to be just kind of open dialogue, open conversation about food and cooking, whatever topics are interesting to you. I bring a few things along. I'm experimenting to get the conversation going, but I'm just as happy to have you say, hey, I really want to talk about this today, or I have a question and I would like some input. So that's the best possible scenario. But if we don't have that, then I do have some questions I'll ask you. So you're familiar with our format. You know that we learn best from each
Right.
other on camera, and that you can get a copy of this by writing to help it get set up. We are on live stream today, so I'll say hi to anybody who's out there in live stream. And it would be really great to have you involved in a session like this so that you can contribute, especially in a session like this. It's a give and take. And of course, we're not paid to promote anything that we talk about here. So I'll just seed the conversation a little bit. This is open to any related topic related to food and cooking. Ideas you want to share, recipes you tried or want to try, any experience you might have had with recipes you tried from many of my classes. That would be great to know about. Fun kitchen stories, disasters, happy outcomes, just things you want to know more about. So anything like that. And I guess I just want to open the floor right now to see if there's anybody who's bringing anything to the table today that they want to talk about in particular.
Hi.
I would like to ask a real quick question. Oops.
Doesn't have to be quick.
Okay, you talked about in one of your classes about overnight oatmeal.
Yeah.
And I looked up recipes for it, and I'm like, apparently the 5-minute oatmeal is the oatmeal that you use.
In that recipe, it depends on the recipe that you use. I don't use a 5-minute oatmeal. I do a different.
Okay, that's all I can find at my grocery store.
Oh, okay. Oh, it would be fine. It would work. That would work great for that oatmeal
Okay, great.
recipe. Sure, that would be fine. Yeah, the overnight
you.
oats that I soak and then I do cook them additionally. Some overnight oats don't get cooked. So sounds like you might have one of those recipes that you could use.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Deb, I have a recipe that I got from the New York Times. Eggplant and zucchini pasta with feta and dill. And it says to cut the eggplant into 1-inch cubes. Do I have to do any preparation? Of course, I don't take off the skin, but what I know that, sometimes when you do eggplant, you put salt, or do I do anything other than just cut it in cubes?
That's a good question, because sometimes with eggplant, if it's getting a little bit older, it will have a problem with the little bitterness, and that's why you salt it and let it drain. So if you're getting an eggplant that's a little bigger, maybe you don't know the age of it because you didn't, like I do, I get it out of my garden, I use it right away. I don't usually have to salt it, but I'd probably try to give that a little salt before you use it.
So you would cut it into cubes and then put a little salt and let it sit for a while?
I would just put it in a colander, sprinkle some salt on it, and let it sit for a while. Yeah.
Okay. When you do these specials on particular foods that are popular now, I was just thinking maybe avocados are a good thing, and also I know you like to do healthy things, and things you could do with tofu would be great. And I learned a lot about your kale, and I did your kale salad, and it came out terrific.
Did you like it? Okay.
Oh yeah. I added more maple syrup and less mustard because I liked it sweeter. But other than that, it was delicious. And the next day it was delicious.
I think my salad recipe gets even better when it sits for a while. Did you find that too?
Yeah. I'd love to, if you ever had one on, just on salads, various salads.
I forgot all about that kale, how you massaged it and everything. And I just went to the grocery store yesterday. I should have got some.
Next time, you have some time. But kale is in season right now. I have all this kale out in my garden. Actually,
Oh.
I planted some and I had some that overwintered from last year. So I really need to use it right now. So now you inspired me. I'm going to make my own kale salad. I need to make one. Yeah, that's a great, that I think is just the best kale salad recipe. And when you talked about seasonal vegetables, Carol, I thought you were going to suggest I put eggplant on that list. I think I should because eggplant's kind of confusing or it's something that we're not really a lot of times all that comfortable or familiar with. So just like Carol said, do you salt it? Do you not salt it? Why do you salt it? Those things. Yeah. Does anybody else like eggplant? Eat eggplant?
The only place I've ever had it, somebody made eggplant lasagna. I mean, you can't even taste it in that. So that's the only time I've ever had it. So I don't even know what it tastes like.
Okay, so maybe experimenting with that a little bit would be interesting. There's some great recipes for eggplant.
Like someone else mentioned, I would be interested in some vegetarian dishes. I think she mentioned tofu, different ways of using tofu. I do use it, but I'm always looking for new ideas.
Okay, so are you vegetarian or do you just like to include more vegetarian meals in your diet?
Just including some.
Meatless Mondays, that kind of thing, so you can
I do
have,
like half and half more. Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Oh, I have a very simple recipe for tofu. You just take quarter of the pound of tofu, cube it up, and then scatter it on a plate. Add toasted sesame oil and soya sauce and lots of green onions.
Oh,
And,
you just cut out. We can't hear you. I
Oh.
don't know why.
Oh, okay.
So far, just make sure I'm clear so far. You've got it, you've cubed up the tofu and you've put it on a plate and it looks like my internet is unstable. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I got a little message that said my internet was unstable. Anyway, you said cube it up, put it on a plate and sprinkle some sesame oil and some soy sauce over it so far. Is that
Right, and then a bunch of green onions and cilantro or whatever herbs. I haven't tried mint yet, and then I have from Trader Joe's the spicy peanut sauce. So I just put a little bit of that and what do you call it? Some chili oil, and wow, it's some. I don't really cook. I kind of like bake it, and so it's like if it's tasty and gets into my mouth, it's good.
So it's not cooked?
It's cold. It's uncooked.
Like a salad?
Yes,
Tofu
yes,
salad.
right.
Which sounds delicious, and there's nothing wrong with eating tofu. Tofu doesn't have to be cooked particularly.
I've never had it uncooked. I always liked it cooked. So yeah, have to try that.
So when you make that, Gladys, do you let it marinate for a while? Do you let it sit before you eat it, or do you eat it right away?
Way.
You eat it right away. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That sounds good.
Oh, and also, does anybody use their air fryer? I mean, discovering the air fryer has been like a life-changing experience for me. And it's like, it brings my cooking to a whole new level and easy.
So that's a good question. That comes up quite a bit too. I want to ask about who else has air fryers in this group.
Gayla has a class that she talks about all her appliances, and she talks a lot about air fryers.
Gayla, is that an interest
Yeah.
group? Interest group?
Yeah.
Yes, on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm. And there's also a class that's plant-based foods for somebody who said they wanted, they'd like to get into vegetarian. There's a class strictly about plant-based eating.
Yeah.
I'm a new cook and I'm learning all these things. If I'm telling you, If it wasn't for Meta, I would never have tried these things. I have never cooked before, and I tore my meniscus, so I had to stop exercising, and I decided I need to do something with my time. And so I've been watching these classes, and I figured, okay, I'm going to try it. So I got myself a little food processor, and I even got an Instant Pot, and I'm going at it.
Good for you.
So
That's
thank
a
you
thumbs
for all
up.
these classes. I'm going to put that in. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good. And you know, Carol, I
So
think
it's
you
been
were-
one really.
sorry, I think we're having a little bit of
You
lag.
what?
Do I recall that you were in a class and you were asking about food processors and what you should get? Were you in asking about that?
Probably, yeah, probably.
So you got one and you're happy with it and you're going great guns preparing these recipes and
Yeah, I got a very small food processor, and then I got the Instant Pot, and I've started, like I made a beet in an Instant Pot. I've made a few things in the Instant Pot, and I'm doing things. And when I do this eggplant dish, can I cut the eggplant now for later tonight and just let it sit with the salt? Or do I have to wait till later?
no, you can do that now.
Okay,
It does start to get a little dark, but you're cooking it and it's going to get dark anyway, so it's okay.
okay.
What time
Yeah.
is it? What time is it where you are?
I'm in New York, and it's
Oh.
3:20.
Yeah, so you're close to dinner time. Yeah.
Yeah, these classes have been, and you've been very, very helpful. So I'm just gonna stay with you.
All right. Well, thanks. That's good. I'll keep adding things to the list, whatever you tell me, and we'll work through those too. So, and Betty, you already have a tofu recipe now, so that's good.
I do.
And we'll work on that. What else? What else about? Well, I wanted to ask who else has air fry. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Well, we're talking about the kinds of foods. I would like more about fresh ways to fix a whole bunch of different vegetables, but not green high vitamin K vegetables, because I'm on a blood thinner and I can't have a lot of vitamin K. And also non-meat proteins and good ways to fix them. I know beans and mushrooms are full of proteins, but what other vegetables and stuff like that? Because I don't want to eat a lot of meat. I want to eat a lot of vegetables.
Gotcha.
That was about it. And actually, if I don't have an air fryer and I don't have an Instapot, I have a slow cooker and I have a pressure cooker. And do I really need an Instapot? Maybe I need to go to the kitchen tech class for those sort of questions. But, as far as, hot cooking stuff in a particular item, like, how would you do a slow cooker versus pressure cooker versus air fryer versus Instapot versus a fry pan on the stove?
So taking like one recipe and sort of looking at how they would all be made differently in
Sure.
each device is something.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, what I'm thinking about here and is getting an air fryer. I don't have one because I have a small house, so I end up having this issue about storing things. And will I use them if I have to store them in the basement, for instance? So I have a pressure cooker. I used to have a pressure canner that was also a pressure cooker until I, don't tell anybody, blew it up because, well, it didn't blow up, but I left it. I was a little too cavalier and I left it on the burner outside on my stove because I was making bone broth in it. And I made one batch of bone broth and it was wonderful. And I put the second batch of bone broth on, and here's a never, ever, ever do. I got in the car and went up the street to run an errand. And when I got back, I could see the smoke coming up over my patio fence. And I looked at that thing and it was just billowing with smoke. I was afraid to go over to the stove. I ran over and turned the flame off and it was okay. I never even opened it up. I was so angry with myself because it was a $200. I mean, it was a big one because I canned in it. And I didn't even open it up. The bottom was bowed. And I knew it was a disaster inside. I was just so disgusted with myself that when it cooled down, I just took it immediately over to the trash can and threw the whole thing in. So don't do like I did, but it was a great device. And I had that. So I had that, but then you can get to that place where you have so many different appliances, and can you get ones that will do the same thing? So what I was thinking about was getting one of the all-in-ones. So Ninja has a 9 or a 10-in-1 that does everything. So you might consider that if you want to have an instant pot and you want to have an air fryer. Look at the Ninja Foodie or whatever other brands might have something that's a multiple. I could dehydrate in that. So I'm thinking about getting one of those and then doing classes on that. And then also having you in, like Gladys. You said that you have really changed your cooking style since you got the air fryer, and it might be very neat to have you come on with me and show some of the recipes that you make. Would you do that?
Sure.
Okay, that's great. So that's another thing we like to do is more of you who have things that you like to do, come on with me and we talk about those things and demonstrate them. You can, or you don't have to demonstrate them in your kitchen, but we can talk through it. I only have so many recipes. You have a lot of recipes and we can all share together. So good ideas. Thank you for that. So vegetables low in vitamin K, and then other high protein things that are not meat, you're saying, Katie.
I have some string beans sitting around, and I don't know. I tried Amandine, and it said to just what is it when you just put it in the water for just a couple of minutes? Parboil, is that what it is? But I think I didn't. I think, are you supposed to wait till it comes to a boil again once you put the vegetables in and then start counting the 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, wait till it gets back to a rolling boil. But what are you making it for? That's particularly important if you're freezing. When you're freezing something, you want to make sure you you blanch or parboil it for the amount of time, and then you put it into ice water to stop the cooking. But what that process does is stop the work of the enzymes, which break down the nutrients and the taste, the flavors in vegetables. So that's an important step for a lot of vegetables, not all of them, but a lot of vegetables have to be blanched beforehand. And when you blanch them for freezing, yes, you have to wait till they come up to a boil again. But if you're using them for cooking, a couple of minutes, you don't have to.
Yeah, I just wanted to make string beans Amandine. So what would you do?
Yeah, I just throw them in the pot there for a couple of minutes, let them get green. I stick a fork in them to see if they're starting to get crisp tender, because all you're doing then, you want them to be most of the way done. And then when you put them in the frying pan, you're sauteing them with a little bit of butter, right? Is that your recipe? Sauteing them with some butter and some almonds?
Yeah, I think that's what I did. And they were they were too firm. They were way too firm. And so I figured, okay, I guess I that's what I did. I didn't wait till it came to a boil again, so they weren't cooked.
Yeah, that would help. So the other thing that you can do when something like that happens is it's not all lost, even though you're putting them in a pan with butter. If you want, you could put a little bit of water in there. If they're just too hard and the butter's starting to get too brown and you think, yeah, you have a disaster, just put a little bit of water in there, put a lid on and let them steam a little bit more. Then take the lid off and the water's going to cook off of those again and you'll still have your butter in there. So it will be okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. Now I know what to do with them. I can take them out of the bag. Thanks.
Yeah. So green beans, Amandine, that sounds very good. That raises a question. Is this a recipe that's just in my area, or do you all make this? Do you ever make ham and green beans? Yeah. Karen, where do you live?
I'm actually in Virginia, outside Washington, D.C., but I grew up in Ohio, and we used to, I can't remember the name of the ham. cottage ham. And we'd put it in water and boil it, and then we would put green beans, and my dad put corn in there, and then we would eat it with a little bit of vinegar, you know.
Yeah, a little bit of vinegar. Yes.
Yeah, it's when I go home, I usually bring a cottage ham home with me.
What's a cottage ham? I'm not familiar.
It's kind of like oh gosh, I know you're going to ask me. I'm going to have to Google it. It's what kind of ham did you use?
Just a ham that was just a
It's
ham, any ham.
Yeah,
And
it's
sometimes
not.
they use ham hocks.
It's not like a ham like you buy in the store for Easter. It's maybe they only have them in Northern Ohio. I don't know.
Oh, I see it. So it's one that you can, it looks like it's been formed.
Yeah,
Then
it's
you cut it. Then you kind
yeah.
of put it down. Yeah, I see.
yeah. And now that it's just my husband and I, when I go home, I go and I get the butcher to cut it in half, and I take 2 halves home.
Put one in the freezer and have one for later.
Mhm.
I use ham hocks for those. They're very flavorful. I just go to the butcher and get one ham hock, and that's more than enough.
Yeah, the cottage ham is when it's cooked, it's kind of, I want to say it pulls apart like kind of shredded, you know, like when you do like a pulled pork. It's not really like that, but it's kind of shreddy
It
when
does,
you actually start to eat it. So anyway.
which is perfect for ham and green beans. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've had it with new potatoes in it. You know, just throw the new potatoes in it with the beans and the ham. Oh, that's so good. So
Mhm.
good.
It is delicious.
And that's a dish that really benefits from being cooked all day.
Mhm.
These beans get very soft, and usually that's something I usually eat my beans, my vegetables more crisp, tender. That's an exception. That's something that I really enjoy soft. And the flavors of the ham then permeate the potatoes and the beans the longer they're in there. And then the vinegar caught my attention because that was something that I don't really eat that so much, but my mother always ate that on her green beans when they were left over.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there was something about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So Kathy, what brings you today?
Oh, you know, I'm just curious. I like to
Curious.
hear everybody. I like to cook, but it's just the 2 of us, so I don't do much of it. I just, you know, putter around in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I did today. I made some pickled eggs, and I just tried them actually, and I made it because somebody on somewhere said they loved these pickled eggs, and I thought, how do you pickle eggs? It's got to have beets or something in it because they're pink. And I went on and got a recipe, and they're really good, and they look so pretty on a salad. They look so pretty, and really, I didn't taste that much of a pickling. You know, maybe I didn't have them in the stuff long enough, or I didn't have enough beets in it or something. I don't know, but they were really good, I thought.
Yeah, sounds delicious. And I love red beet eggs. We call them red beet eggs where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
But it's the same thing. There's some vinegar in there and red beets and a little bit of spice. Did you put some spices in yours, or
I
just
didn't put any spices in it. I just, you know, the recipe that I had called for sugar. So I put in sweetener because I try to stay away from sugar. And it was really good, I thought.
And
And that was all that was in it.
Did they get really dark red for you?
Depends on how much beet juice I use.
Mhm.
The first time I made them, they were really pink. But today they didn't pink. They weren't I don't know if some people just buy pickled beets in the jar and then just stick the eggs in them.
Mhm.
But I boiled the beets and then put sugar and the vinegar in it, and then threw the eggs in it. So that's
Yeah.
how I did it. Easy.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets redder than others depending
Yeah.
upon how how much juice you have and how concentrated it is, I guess. Yeah.
I have a recipe for a beet hummus if people are at all interested in it. It's so simple. You need just a food processor. That's all.
Okay, tell us.
Do you want me to tell you? It's real simple.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 2 large beets, 1 to 2 tablespoons of the cooking liquid, which I think I ended up using around 2 tablespoons, 1/3 cup of roasted almonds,
Oh.
2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, a small garlic clove, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And all you do is take the beet, cut it into quarters, put it into the food processor with all those other things. And it's not really a hummus consistency, but it is so tasty and sweet. And you could throw it into your salads or just put it on a cracker. It's really good.
It's really tasty. Good recipe.
Yeah.
They're very simple.
So you
did-
said, you
did we-
said it's sweet because of the
Yeah.
beets. Is that what makes it sweet? The beets?
Yes, yeah. And it lasted, I think it lasted around a week in my refrigerator.
Yeah, it's got the lemon.
So it's something that you could just, put on a carrot or something if you're watching your weight.
Mhm.
And as a kid, I hated beets, but I've learned that I've learned to like them.
Learn
And I made my beet in the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot, for the person that was talking, is a combination of a slow cooker and a pressure cooker and a steamer.
Wait a minute.
Can you?
Do you boil the beets? Is that what you're saying first? You don't put it all in? Raw.
No, no, it's not raw. So
Okay.
you either boil it or put it in your Instant Pot, but somehow you have to cook it
Oh, okay.
and then do the other stuff. And there's even a top for the Instant Pot. You can get an accessory top, a second cover that has a air fryer. If you were into air fryers, I haven't done that yet. But I know that there's a lot of things that you can fry and use like no oil at all, and it's healthy. So it's an idea.
Yeah.
And
If you're
Deb,
thinking about getting the air fryer piece for the Instapot, I would do some research because it didn't have really good reviews. And so I ended up just getting an air fryer. So now I have 2 pieces of equipment that I have to figure out what to do with. But I mean, I know what to do with them, but where to put them. So I just am saying, do your research before you just buy it.
I think I did some research too, and the biggest complaint I found was they didn't have that much instruction when you got just the top to go on your Instant Pot. So, you want to know how to use it. I mean, it's got all the buttons, it says what you're making, but you still need instructions. I think,
Have
they
you,
ought to know that.
Kathy, have
And
you checked YouTube at all?
Yes, I did. I checked.
And nothing on YouTube with that.
did you go to instantpot.com? Because I
No.
know they give you no instructions, but it tells you to go to instantpot.com. I haven't had a chance to do it, but I bet you that you would get the information
Okay.
there.
I see. Okay, thanks.
And Deb, I have a question about something else.
Mhm.
A lot of recipes, I'm very careful about low glycemic and sugar. I try not to use a lot of sugar, but a lot of these recipes have maple syrup. And somebody told me, don't worry about it. There's some good, healthy things about maple syrup.
Mhm.
Is that true? Because I just think I'm putting all this sugar into my food and it's not good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you had to say.
Well, I think that you can use a little bit of maple syrup judiciously. I think a teaspoon of sweetener here and there is not a big deal and you can use it well. Having said that, though, maple syrup, even though it does have some nutritional properties, is still sugar. So if you took my healthy dessert class, you know that I say in there that sugar is sugar is sugar. So it still is going to be on the higher end of the glycemic index, and will react and be digested just kind of like white sugar is. So yeah,
Is honey healthier than maple syrup?
same thing.
And blue agave, same
Is it-
thing?
Is it sweeter? You know, you're asking a good question, because I can never keep in mind what the relative sweetness is between honey and agave and
I just want to know what is the best thing to use, because most of them, like your kale asks for, I think, at least a tablespoon of the maple syrup.
mhm.
I think is it in yours? Well, I'm not sure it's in your recipe. I think so.
Yeah, that's where I feel now. If I'm going totally low carb and I'm trying to eliminate, I would use my go-to sugar alcohol stevia blend that I like, the better than sugar I would use, or I would use monk fruit sweetener, something like that. If I'm not really worried too much about being totally low carb, then I wouldn't worry about a tablespoon of maple syrup in a dressing, providing that I'm not eating a lot of other sugary things throughout the day. That 1 tablespoon through all that dressing is minuscule. Not
Oh,
really
okay.
too bad. So I think it's in an amount. And it does sometimes add a flavor that you're not going to get with those other things. So you sort of balance it that way. At least I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if you know this. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what I see, and then make any kind of comments if it brings anything to mind. Can you see what I have there, the days that are coming up? There is literally a food day for almost every day of the year, I think. And I just think it's interesting to be aware of these things. And where I can, I'm trying to sync up with some classes on these days. That might come a little bit later as we move through. But look, it's National Wine Day on May 25th. Do you drink wine? Do you like wine? Wine is, well, we have classes in wine. We have some people who, we have Jerry who teaches classes on all different kinds of wines. So if you want to learn about Italian wines, or you want to learn about French wines, check Jerry out, because he will be doing, well, he does classes on that all the time. But we have National Brisket Day. National Ham.
Yay, I love brisket.
Who loves brisket? Who said that?
80.
It's me, Katie.
Okay.
Can we do something like a New England boiled dinner that day?
Okay. Do you have a good recipe, Katie?
No, my mom just would buy the already, seasoned brisket and cook it and throw in cabbage and potatoes and carrots and onion. And that was it. And it's wonderful. That's how I do it.
You know, a New England boiled dinner sounds like a great fall or winter recipe. So it's too bad that National Brisket Day isn't in the winter. Although you can eat brisket you can eat it grilled,
Anytime.
and eat it on sandwiches. You go to barbecue joints and you have barbecue brisket. It is wonderful.
Right.
So maybe there's a barbecue brisket day in our future. But that's coming up very quickly. I don't know how fast I can pull that one together. National Macaroon Day. Anybody eat macaroons?
Ooh, I love coconut.
Do you? I have never made them. Anybody ever made them? Oh, Karen, tell us.
Well, I have food allergies, so macaroons, the coconut ones, are something that I can eat. So I made them from the Joy of Cooking. They're very good. I can't remember the recipe, but it takes time. You have to make them and then let them sit out, because they come out sticky initially. You let them sit till they dry, and then I usually will dip them in some chocolate, and they're pretty good.
Kathy, does that sound like your recipe? Do you make them?
No, I don't make them, but chocolate added to coconut? Oh, yeah.
What can
Yeah.
we get about that?
Yeah.
So Karen, is that why they're so expensive? Because they take so long and they're a little,
I don't know. I don't buy them because usually they have stuff in them that I probably can't
ingredient.
eat. So I tend to just make my own when I want some. I don't make them that often, but I don't know if you have the Joy of Cooking book, but the recipe in there is actually pretty good and pretty simple.
okay. Well, here, June 3rd, pickled eggs. June 3rd is National Egg Day.
I eat eggs every day, almost every day. I love eggs.
Eggs eggs are an interesting topic of conversation, I think, because you either eat a lot of eggs or you're a little concerned about eating too many eggs. Anybody have any thoughts? So Kathy, you obviously don't have any kind of concerns about eating eggs every day.
Nope, don't have any.
Anybody have concerns about eating eggs every day? Yeah, I don't. They're a good protein, good
Yeah.
source of protein. And Katie, it was you talking about protein, wasn't it? Other sources of protein, I think. Yeah. And just wanted to point out, if you haven't been there yet to the spotlight on quinoa, quinoa is a complete protein. It's even better than beans when it comes to providing all the amino acids that you need that would be found in meat. So it's a great replacement for meat. And you can make burgers.
Are you going to do that class again?
Oh yeah. Yep. It's taking a little break, but it'll be back on the schedule soon.
And it would be great to have a class on cooking different kinds of fish. Now you've got shrimps and, just a seafood fish class.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you like ceviche? Have you ever had that?
Oh, I'd love to learn how to make it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And restaurants is expensive.
Yes.
So June 28th, I didn't even get through all of June here, but June 28th is National Ceviche Day. So I've got that on my list because I think it would be so much fun to make ceviche
What is that?
class. That is a dish that it uses, it cooks food, it cooks the fish in acid rather than cooking it with heat. So you're using lime juice and other acid ingredients to cook the fish. And it is cooked when you eat it. So you're not eating raw fish, but you don't use heat for it. It's Peruvian.
And you skipped over a National Donut and Chocolate Ice Cream Day. Why would they put them on the same day?
How about it? That's exactly what I thought. Really? National Donut and Chocolate Ice Cream Day together. Yeah, just, start your day with a donut and then the
End it with ice cream.
Yeah. But you have to walk, you have to walk to the donut shop and you have to walk to the ice cream parlor and then home. So did anybody attend the cheese session the other day? Yeah.
The cheese board?
Yeah, the cheese board
Oh.
session.
That was wonderful.
Like that. Did you give one a try yet?
Oh, I don't have anywhere to go with it.
You don't have
What can I
anybody to
do with all that?
entertain?
Like you, I have one person else in the house, what would I do with it?
I know. And here's what I did, by the way. After my husband and I just decimated it, which I hated to do. So we had for those of you who weren't there, we had a session the other day. A friend of mine is a chef and she's also she's very interesting. She's over 50 and she's an entrepreneur who remade herself in the midst of the pandemic when her newly acquired catering gig with a resort went belly up because of the pandemic. So she became a boutique food producer and she makes different chutneys and different things that she's getting into. And so she has these chefing skills, and she joined us in a class to talk about how to make a cheese board, a simple, elegant cheese board, not using all kinds of fancy ingredients, using what you have, and then pairing things accordingly, and then how to construct it to make it look really bountiful and very eye-catching. So we had this beautiful cheese board at the end of the thing. As a matter of fact, I think I have a picture of it here. Scroll the right way since I'm still sharing. There it is. So you can see this cheese board, and it really only has 3 cheeses on it. And they're very common cheeses, so it's not like you have to become exotic. But if you came into a party and saw that sitting on the table, wouldn't that really draw your eye? And wouldn't it be so much fun to be able to create something like that for guests? And so we were doing that. And afterward, I hated to have to take it apart, but my husband and I really destroyed it. And then I put all that cheese away, what that was left, and it was real schmaltzy. It was not very attractive looking. I wasn't going to get out and serve it anymore. But then I had to think about, how am I going to use this cheese? So I did find other ways to stir it into things, or to use it in a salad, or otherwise just use it up, repurpose it as the week went on. But it's definitely something that you hope you're going to be able to entertain and serve it. But who doesn't like cheese? Is there anybody here who can't eat cheese or doesn't prefer to eat cheese? What do you think about making your own mozzarella? Have you ever done that?
No, how you do that?
Would that be fun to learn? I wonder if we could do that together, because there's not very many ingredients in that. I'll have to look at my recipe again and see how we can fit it into an hour. It is delicious, and you will feel so impressed with yourself, because you
I used to make goat cheese with my goat's milk.
Did you? Oh, you had goats. Tell us about that, Katie.
I have goats. I have 3 Nubian dairy goats, but they've never been bred so that they would produce milk or anything. They're just pets. But the woman whose dairy farm I got them from sells milk, and I learned how to make the chev. And it's really, really easy. I was surprised at how easy it is to make cheese.
There we go. So Katie, you can come and join me and do chevra or chev.
Yeah, I suppose I could. I'd have to get some milk and the starter for it. So yeah, I could. Give me a lot of advance notice though, because number one, if it's during the day, of course, my internet may not work real good. And then the other thing is that I've got to get the milk and get all the stuff that I need, because I haven't made it in a long time.
Sure, sure. Well, and
But I'd be willing to.
Try it. Yeah, thank you. Because I actually have that on my list, making mozzarella and making chev. I've made that as well. And I've also made, camembert, but that's an aged cheese. And that's something that you can't demonstrate in an hour, but okay. Katie is goat cheese.
Katie, have you ever made goat's milk fudge? I see that in Amish places and stuff. Goat milk fudge?
No, I haven't. We use the goat's milk just like you would ordinary cow milk and stuff. We cooked with it, we baked with it, we drank it. I haven't gotten a lot of it because now I'm widowed and I don't drink as much milk. And it's a 40-mile trip each way to go get the milk. And
does it taste like regular milk?
It doesn't last long like cow milk does. I believe it does. It's richer and it's got, I think, healthier fats in it than cow milk has. That's what I've been told. Nubian, the girl I get it from has nothing but Nubians. And the Nubian milk is supposed to have really good butter fat so that you can make your cheeses, you can make butter, you can make kombucha and what's that, kefir. She makes kefir with it. And it's just, I think it tastes really good, but it has to do with what they eat, basically, what kind of grains they're eating and what kind of grasses and brush and stuff like that. And a lot of the milk that turns out to smell or taste goaty actually probably is because the farmer has their male goats, too close to the girls, because the boys do smell. And they add a smell to the milk if they're too close.
Yeah, that's true. So that's what that's all about, because I have had goat milk that tasted goaty.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah, good to know. Very interesting.
I have a question about oils, if we have a few minutes yet.
Oh, yeah.
I
we
know
do.
some people really recommend coconut oil and some don't. So I was just wondering what your ideas are on it and how you use it if you do.
And avocado oil also.
Yeah. So, well, they're slightly two different animals, but I'm going to look up a profile here so that we have it. I can call upon it. Coconut oil lipid profile. I want to tell you what's in there. So I just saw an interesting article I want to pull up here and see what it says, because this was a publication on coconut oil and heart health, if it allows me to access. I'm just going to skip to the chase here and read this. And here's the reason I'm doing this, because there's been so much back and forth about coconut oil. It does have some saturated fat in it. We know that we should keep our saturated fat down, but then there has been various levels of various experts who said it's really a very good fat, even though it's saturated fat. So let me see what this has said. It says,
Betty, where are you from?
Near Chicago.
You look so familiar to me. I'm in Ohio, and I just keep looking at you thinking, I know her, but I guess I don't.
Ohio is not too far away.
Yeah.
it does look like if you have a high consumption of it, that you can have the same issues as you have with any saturated fat. However, it does seem to increase good cholesterol. So there are good things about it. And I would just put it on one of those, it's a limited, use it in a limited way, but it's a healthy fat, and just don't overconsume it. So there's two types. There's refined and there's unrefined. How do I use it? I don't use a lot of it, to tell you the truth. I use it sometimes in frying some things. Like the other day I made a Caribbean shrimp dish, and I used a tablespoon of unrefined coconut oil to saute the shrimp. So the unrefined coconut oil still has the flavor of coconut, and I wanted it, since it was a Caribbean dish, to have that flavor. So that's why I used that oil. And it was just a tablespoon for a pound of shrimp. That's not a lot. So that's the way I tend to use it. I would also tend to use it in maybe a brownie recipe in place of the other oil, just because, or at least in place of part of it, because I like that coconut flavor. If I like coconut in a baked good, I'd use the unrefined version of that. I'd also use the refined version, in the same kind of, if I wanted to fry something, in the same manner that I did the shrimp, but I didn't want the coconut taste. The refined coconut oil doesn't have that taste. And it's good from the standpoint of frying. Not that I fry a lot, but occasionally you like something like a little fried fish or something. You can fry that and not be worried about the burn point, about burning that fat. It has a very high burn point. So that's how I tend to use it. A jar of that goes a long way for me. But having said that, I have a friend who is on a ketogenic diet, and he has been very strict about that. And he eats lots of vegetables, and he makes what are called fat bombs out of chocolate, dark chocolate, unsweetened, and coconut oil, maybe some nut butter. And so these things are all but pure fat. He's diabetic. He's diabetic and he has all the bad numbers. He went to the doctor and had his numbers checked, and they're better than they've been his whole life. So having said that, that's where the confusion lies. I think that people have different results with these things, and we're getting better at figuring out what individual physiologies tell us, but it really does have a lot to do with how we each react. So what I'm coming to is a place where I want to work with a doctor who's going to check my nutritional levels and help me manage and find a food lifestyle or a diet that's going to move me in the right direction for those numbers, knowing that my way of doing that might be different from yours or might be different from his, because we are all different, which is why we end up having all those diets out there and people say, oh, that works. Oh, no, that doesn't work, because it works differently for different people. So there are functional medicine doctors out there now. Have you heard that term, functional medical doctors, functional medicine? So functional medicine doctors are typically MDs. They're medical doctors, but they have gone further with their training in nutrition. So they're going to look for root cause. They're going to go in there and kind of do testing to see how your gut health is, and testing all around to see that what your nutrient levels are, and then help you tweak that with your diet and with supplementation and lifestyle and so on, which is something regular doctors just don't get into. They are, primarily there to help us fix something once it's broken. So functional medical doctors are there to try to work on the other end and help us prevent disease. And so that's a tip. And many of them like the idea of using coconut oil. So Dr. Hyman is a doctor. You can put him in the chat box if you have interest. He has really good YouTube videos. And I would love to have him on as a speaker sometime. I don't know if we'll ever get there. He's a pretty big name. He came from the Cleveland Clinic, and he has his own functional medicine center. So he has lots of good information. Probably told you more than you wanted to know about coconut oil.
Thank you.
What's the doctor's name? Did you say you're going to put it in the chat?
It should be in the chat, but now I probably sent it to John. John.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, let me try that again. And I see we are over time. Dr. Mark Hyman. So I will let you go.
Can you put that shrimp recipe in your notes?
Yeah, I'll give that to you. It's in my class too. It's in the class that I do on spring meals. I made it in the class the other day, but yeah, I'll attach it because I wanted to make it. It's a Jamaican jerk recipe, and I am going to do a DIY spice class on next Thursday, I think it is, and I'm going to show you how to make a Jamaican jerk spice. And so I wanted to make sure that you have a recipe to go along. So I'll probably send that recipe for that as well. Okay.
Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, you're welcome. So thanks for coming today. Know that I am here tomorrow for Beans with Pizzazz, bean salads with pizzazz. If you haven't taken that class, many of you have. And next week, there will be some new classes coming up, like one on peas, spring peas, and the do-it-yourself spices. So thank you for coming today. Invite your friends. Don't forget that email will come out, and give me some feedback. I have written a lot of notes. Thank you for all the ideas.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It was
Bye-bye.
fun.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.